Got the devil in your eyes. You went and
Ana ekias et dashias.
Hi, ladies.
Hi,
Can
Nikki.
everybody hear me? Hi,
Yeah.
Brandy. And you don't have to be on. I know you're at a basketball game, but we're good. Yes. Okay. All right. So how are you guys feeling this morning? And I'll have the chat up in case anybody wants to. I think I'm waiting on a couple more people, so we'll give them like a minute.
I had a weird incident last night,
What happened?
and I don't know if it's a reaction from the shots or what. I kept
Okay.
feeling like I was going to pass out, and I did. I woke up on my kitchen floor, soaking wet,
You woke up on your kitchen floor? Okay.
in the fetal position. It was
Okay.
scary shit. I don't know what happened.
All right. Hold on. I can't hear very well sometimes. I gotta put this in here. Okay, yeah. So you think you passed out?
I kept feeling I was going to make me a sandwich. It was about midnight, and I was in the kitchen, and I just felt like my ears got all stopped up, and my head was just woozy. So I went and sat on the couch, got back up, went back to the kitchen. Next thing I know, I'm waking up on my kitchen floor with my dog there, and I am soaking wet. I don't know if I peed all over myself, if she peed on me.
Mhm.
It was some scary shit.
Well, yeah, and that's the only difference, right? Is you got the
Yeah,
shots
that I got those
yesterday.
shots yesterday.
Right. Okay. Brandy, you're so tired. Okay. I bet you are. I know you're tired, girl. But yeah. Okay. So Janelle, just let your doctor know or wherever you got those. You did that. Okay. And then yeah, perfect. Then that is yeah, because that is different.
Yeah.
Um, okay, and then Darla, how are you feeling today? Or anybody else?
Okay. I'm
Oh,
just trying to unmute.
are you tired too?
I said I'm trying to
Oh,
unmute.
yeah.
Uh,
Hi.
yes, yes. Uh, I'm okay. I mean, stress is my middle name at this point,
Mm-hmm.
but it's, I'm dealing with it. Resistance, yes. About what? Everything.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
yeah, we're just here doing the things.
Just doing the things. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad that you're on here.
thank you.
So that's all that matters. And you can mute as well.
Right.
I know you have the kids and stuff, so thank you for sharing with how you're feeling today. And the reason why I ask you guys that is the awareness, right? Of like, this is how I'm feeling. Like there is no right or wrong, right? We just want to know. So like Darla's stressed, she's in resistance, like, um and then Abby, if you're able to either type in the chat or whatever is comfortable for you of how you're feeling right now and how, hey,
I'm good.
you're good.
No resistance. If I were to imagine what alignment feels like, I think it would feel like today.
Okay,
Yay.
perfect. Yay. That's like, and so this feeling of how you're feeling now. So what is it you're feeling? Can you explain it a little bit more besides alignment?
Yeah, so kind of how we talked about last year, I focused on each chakra, and I am kind of doing that again, but I've gotten to realize I'm working on all of them simultaneously, or at least they're coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So I started my morning. Milo and I walked to yoga, which was my first and third chakra. I did it for me and did my routine and my prompting, my scripts. And I've sat in stillness the last couple days, so I'm using a lot of my chakras and have kind of had dip downs this week where I've gotten really hard on myself on well, like especially my throat chakra. Nikki and I talk about that. That's a big one for me. And I was beating myself up about it, and I was doing my like silent to myself and gave myself the simplest answer, and it was to apologize, which again is in your throat chakra.
Yeah,
And so yeah, today I just kind of feel like everything's good.
good. I'm so happy for you. So anchor into this feeling of like, okay, what is this having this feeling? What is easy to do? So you're not feeling resistance around whatever it is that you're, anything. So really just kind of, okay, what are the actions? What are the behaviors I'm able to take from this place? That makes it really, like, yeah. So, all right, Jake, how are you feeling today? You can, yeah, however you want to do it.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning. I don't know. I feel a little jumbled today, I
Mhm.
guess. Um, um, a little bit maybe deflated,
Mhm.
sad, kind of.
Okay.
But curious and questioning, kind of analyzing
I saw that
this
you hung out
morning.
with your son too.
Yeah, I've had a couple big days that have felt really good the last couple days. I felt like I was able to reclaim a lot of parts in my life.
With the golden shadow.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of that kind of
Okay.
revealed, and I was able to step into some of those these last
Mm-hmm.
couple of days. Got a lot accomplished. I put a lot on my plate. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt good. I was kind of whatever on a high with it. It felt good, and that was intentional. I tried to the last couple of days just be in my feelings and let myself feel good and let myself have fun with things. Um, but
Permission.
yeah, and so I'm just kind of examining how that's making me feel now, and it feels like kind of a letdown, right? I don't know why.
A
Um,
letdown of, okay. Oh, you mean like because you
just
were feeling,
yeah, it was
okay.
a high or whatever. It was fun. I was feeling myself or whatever. And then it's just kind of a letdown after that. type of that feeling. And I think about it now, and it's doing this work, I've blocked or haven't been able to kind of recall a lot of childhood and feelings in that. And something that came up just recently was the way I'd feel around Christmas time. And so it'd be like
You done
Christmas
told her
morning.
grandma the wrong time.
It'd be like
Her
Christmas
grandma
morning
keeps
and you
asking her, I
would
don't know.
get up and, you know, you're all excited and you have this excitement and this leading up to this thing. And everything would be great. And I'd get presents. I get like things that I'd want. And the whole family's sitting there. In the afterglow of it, right? And then I remember just being sad, just getting these sad feelings, just sitting there for no reason and starting to cry. You know, sometimes I get in trouble, like, you're being ungrateful. Why are you sad? You got everything you want, and things like that. But I didn't understand that. And now I can kind of relate to what I've done, like for holidays and things like that. Like I love them, but I don't get too close to them at all right now. And I try to avoid those down feelings that I know come through with them.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of
awesome.
evaluating today.
I love that. I love it that you gave yourself permission to feel good and have fun, you know, and it really is just that one simple, not simple, I shouldn't say, but it is decision of like, okay, I am gonna feel good today because we've been, you know, or which today we're going to talk about the pillar of receptivity. And and like I've had a lot of things happen in the last day that have reminded me of where my receptivity, which means to receive, basically, right? So, so what we're gonna do today, I'm gonna kind of teach a little bit about the receptivity pillar and like what that the steps are to start to create that, and for you guys to kind of measure where you're at with your ability to receive. And this is also like in the throat chakra, but also in the heart, in the sacral. I feel like those are other chakras that are really like our receiving you know, chakras. When we want to receive, it's in those ones. So just to recap though, and then what we'll do at the last, I do want to do I would like to go into what a shadow shift is with you guys. I'd like to take you through it. Brandy, I know you're at a basketball game, so you don't have to, I mean, and you've been through one. Um, but I know that I'd love to do another one with you, but like whatever you want to do. Anyone that's not able to, you can use this first part that I'm going to teach on. That's what I told Brandy. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I'm teaching on. You got to get on here because it's about, yeah, it's about when we're going through life so fat, like we're going from one thing to the next, and we feel like we don't have, especially when we have kids, right? Or when we have things we have to do, and we feel like we don't have the time to receive, right? So I'm going to give you guys like how can you do that, right? That's what we're going to learn today and talk about. But to recap about the last 4 weeks, we are at the middle of this program, or we're past the middle, and we, you know, built our vision pillar, which you guys all have a vision plan of like when we work together, I can always bring you guys back to this was the original plan. Now, it can shift and it can change, right? It doesn't have to stay, but like the first 3 months. And the reason that I do that, there isn't because I'm like, you guys have to know what it is you want. No, it is just to have a baseline, like an anchor to bring you back to this place that you're working on. Because when we're shifting out of like codependency and people pleasing and living life from reactivity, right? And just reacting to everything, there is no plan. We're reacting to what other people want. We're listening, you know, they tell us what they want, or we shut off our inner voice and don't share what it is that we think or what we want because we don't think it matters. And so we're just reacting to everything, right? And we're trying to numb, and our nervous system doesn't feel safe, and we don't know how to work with that. And so when we shift to taking control over our life and taking responsibility, it requires a a vision. It just does. If you don't know what you're going for, you get lost. We get lost. I get lost. I do. I still get lost sometimes. And I have to constantly come back to this is what I want to do. But also it's the inner voice. It's allowing for the flowiness of your intuition. So it's the masculine and it's the feminine, like, masculine having a plan, having structure, but then allowing for intuitive flowiness and alignment. And not being like things have to look this way. And if they don't, then I'm doing something wrong? So that was what we did with the vision, right? And it was really the block is a fear of failure. So if you guys are, there's many shadows actually that go with it. And as I now with like the golden shadow, right? It's the confidence, right? Or it's us putting ourselves out there. It's us not wanting to be seen, right? That's a thinking that so there's many different things. That's why on our individual calls, that's a time for us to address those, like your individual shadows of what you want to go into, but fear of failure is one of the big ones. And then we really just talked about like slowing down, having doing your somatic practices, which we talked about the soulful somatic practices last Saturday. I gave out logs I know Jake got one, Janelle got one, Darla got one. Abby, I'm sure you can create your own, or you can print off the one that I gave. Brandy, I'll send that to you. And if you and I have a call, I'll go over those with you of how to do the soulful somatic practices, which are to resensitize, are to be able to feel again, right? So yeah, we'll go over that on a call, or you can watch the last one too. And then for the connection piece, the block's really a fear of isolation and abandonment. So if you have had a lot of abandonment issues, right? You're going to have a resistance to forming connections. You're not going to, we're not going to want to be vulnerable, right? If you have issues with being vulnerable, if that's a shadow, right? Being vulnerable, if it's bad for you, you're not going to be able to make that connection either. But however, you do have connections in your life. You have a connection with your child, you have a connection with the people that are around you, and you have a connection with me. This is my job in your life, is to show you what a healthy relationship looks like. Like that really is what one of my goals with you guys are, even for myself, of to forming that healthy connection with boundaries, also, allowing everyone to be just as they are. So that's what I hope to be in you guys' life, is just like kind of an example of what a connection looks like and what it feels like to be safe and feel safe in someone's environment. So, okay, does anybody have any questions or anything about with those two things, or those two pillars, or like, do you guys feel pretty good of like, and I know it's also taking in the information and then applying it in your real life. That's always a big one. And you guys are always welcome to come on Wednesdays to Turning Point at 12 for the meditation. Then I think that yeah, I'm inviting you to come there if you like. Okay. So if you do have this book, which is Empath to Mystic, we're going to be going into the receptivity pillar. And with receptivity, so a life lacking in receptivity is a life where you think you have to do everything on your own. And I had an experience yesterday with a client, and I wish she was on here right now. She knows I'm going to share this story. So she has been offering me for months of like, how can I help you in your business? Like, I know you're getting more clients. We've talked about it. I want to hire a VA. I want to get someone which Brandy, I do have you help me sometimes with tech. So we might have to talk about this as well. And this is down your alley. Anyway, so this client was like, before we got off the call yesterday, she said, just to remind you, like, I am open to doing work for you in exchange for coaching, because she's having some financial things. And I immediately felt this like resistance. Like I felt this resistance of like, oh, she thinks I need help. I mean, my ego was all like, oh, she thinks I need help. What am I like, da 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 da. So I was so cut off from receiving that I was like, okay, yeah, we'll talk about it. Da, 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 da. Well, then after we got off the call and I started to plan for this, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is exactly what just happened. My pillar is definitely not strong right now of receiving and being open to receive things. And so I texted her and was like, we can definitely talk about that because I need that. I need that help. But because then on the back end, I'm like, I have all these things to do and I'm not asking for help. I do have an issue. I do, unless I'm paying them, right? Now I want to pay her too. I'm like, I want to pay you money because that's been another thing of mine where I want to pay you money, but then it's like I don't know. There's a whole thing with bartering that I've had bad experiences with. And so I think that came into play. So anyway, where is a time in your life right now that you can think of where someone is trying to give you help, but you're not receiving it because you're like, nope, I can do this on my own. Oh, or you go into, if I do let them help me, then they're gonna like, I expect things from me. Yeah, go ahead.
So mine's not receiving help. I'm having a problem right now with, because I'm helping so many people, the compliments and the praise.
Okay. Yep.
It's like that's not what I'm doing it for, and I'm not sure how. I'm grateful for it, but it's kind of awkward for me to receive it.
Okay. Perfect. To the compliments and praise. So, okay, kind of like and that's the opposite of, because with the connection pillar, the block is when we're looking for validation outside of ourselves, like we're wanting people to validate us. And this is almost like the opposite of, okay,
Mhm.
wait a minute. So that's interesting. Okay, good. So you're aware of that. That is where, perfect. Okay. Does anybody else have an example of where they're having trouble with receiving? And if not, it's okay. Or you can type it if you'd like. So just to think about right now, think about, do you take compliments? Do you take like Janelle, do you take compliments and you're like, thank you? Or are you feeling resistance to that, right? Or
Well,
if
I
some,
think
yeah,
I'm thankful, but it's like I didn't ask for that, and that's not why
Mhm.
I'm doing it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's appreciated and
Mm-hmm.
it's validating, but that's not why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Right. And so would that be like, okay, so why is that? What do you think that makes you if you is that the thought of like, I don't want them to think this is why I'm doing it for this
Yeah,
kind of.
that
Okay.
I don't want people to think I'm seeking the praise
Right.
because all I'm doing is wanting to help.
Right. And then we can go into like the shadow piece of that because are you afraid to be judged or thought of them thinking you're seeking the praise? You're only doing things to seek that.
Yeah, that thought crosses my mind
Okay. Perfect.
because I don't
That's
want
great.
people to, yeah, because like you make posts about me, Nikita made that post about me, and
Oh
people are
yeah.
always posting. And I don't want people thinking, oh, well, who does she think she is? You know what I mean?
We found a golden shadow. We sure did. Yay. Finally, I have something I can work with Janelle on in her sessions. Oh my gosh. Like, this is the best day of my life. I'm just kidding. It's not. If anybody watched our interview, I revealed something to her that I'd never told her before, and that is I would go to my coach and be like, "What do I do with this client? She's coming and she's done everything. She does everything. Like, why am I even in her life?"
See,
So
I have
anyway,
issues.
I know that you do. Okay. So, all right. So that would be, um, and this I gave Jake and Darla, hold on, we'll get to you. I know that you turned your thing off. But I'm gonna give all
It's
of you
okay.
guys. Okay. Go ahead, Darla, while I'm looking for
No,
this.
I was just saying it's okay. One of the 10 keys to the sacred kingdom, like
Mm,
their
yes.
laws of the universe. These are like laws. You did this.
Yes.
And one of them is the law of greatness. And that is having humility through the greatness of being part of the universe, or a part of God, that we're part of all each other. That I mean, like, that is such a great thing, and the having humility to be part of it. But it's, and it goes along. There's a saying, and Jake might not know where it comes from, of that, and what you said is that what we're afraid of is succeeding.
Right.
That's what we're afraid of,
Mhm.
because with that comes responsibility.
Absolutely. Yes. It comes with
And
responsibility.
people just
Mhm.
don't want to be responsible, usually for their own self, let alone somebody else. You
Mhm.
know,
Well, it's more
and so
pressure, yeah, or more responsibility. Right. And it's just our
Yeah,
so
I think
yeah.
it's also really shocking, to hear
Mm.
those things come in, uh, those
yeah,
compliments, because you're not really aware, or at least I'm not really aware of being seen so much. I'm not really aware
Aware of
of.
being
I
seen, yeah.
I try to turtle shell a lot and hide myself, and I think for some reason that translates outside more than it does, right? So you are observed in ways that you don't know, and then when you start getting these compliments, sometimes it's kind of shocking, that you're on a stage, right? And that just that you're part of something bigger than you
Mm.
actually feel, and that's kind of a shock to the system, and something you have to evaluate how you feel in it, I guess. At least I do.
What to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Beautiful. Okay. And that would be with the golden shadow, it is, if I am seen more, what am I going to be like? Yeah, it's that not wanting or being told not to be big, right? Or we're told to water ourselves down or stay small because we don't want to overpower other people, right? And that's really that's what I was taught, right? Or like, oh, you don't want to don't make someone else feel bad, or don't be too big because then, it's going to don't tell anyone you got that job because that person or whatever. And I remember on Facebook, sometimes I wouldn't share. I would be like, I don't want to share these great things because then what if I make someone else feel bad, right? So that would be one of the golden shadows of not to be too big. Or another thing with our intuition, for me, my intuition. I was raised in religion, right? And that, tarot is wrong, and oh, intuition is witchy. And so when I started to really dive into more of this work and stepping away from Christianity, that was a thing I had to deal with. And we don't realize that our gifts are our shadows also hide our gifts, because we're like, oh, I don't want to be too big, and then or put yeah, so that's how it was for me in my life, I remember.
I think it's really weird with um, religion and intuition, because, like, when you're in so deep in some religions, your intuition is, you're taught that's connected to prophecy, or
Right.
different things like this that are connected to that somehow,
Yeah.
instead of this individual uh, intuition that
Or yeah,
needs to be
connection to
developed.
the, yeah. Yeah, you're
So I
right.
find my intuition, I don't know. So it's just
well,
hard for me to distinguish that, my intuition through versus trauma in religion, right? That's
Hmm.
in my life. So it's a question I try to
Right.
decipher.
yeah, we're taught, stop and listen to the still small voice, the voice of God, or your intuition, or the same thing.
Yeah. It's the same thing, people. Okay. Does anybody else have anything else to share that's muted? If not, we're gonna move on. Yeah, this is great though. I love this. So, and this is how to find your golden shadows is basically like I don't want to be like I'm never going to be blank because I can't speak in front of people. So like I'm never going to be whatever that is, which I have another, hold on. I'm never going to be a coach, or I'm never going to be confident enough, or that, or in anything we compare ourselves to, like if we're comparing to someone else of, oh, they're just so they're okay with being seen. I could never do that, right? So that would really put our show us what our golden shadows are. I was trying to find something here, but I won't move too much into this. Today, what we were going to talk about really was the selfish and the control shadow is really what blocks the receptive of like of controlling what we have to be in control. We have to things have to go the way we want them to, and if they don't, we're not open to receive what is actually happening. And that blocks us from receiving, right? Because and then being in control is also a trauma response, right? It's from when experiencing something when we didn't have control over something and we experienced a traumatic response. And then we're going to talk about trauma this week. That's the training that's going to be of like how trauma is, like what trauma is, what happens when like trauma is not what happens. It is what we're perceiving to happen, right? It's how we're taking it in. Because the same thing can happen to two different people and one person be like traumatized by it and another person not. And so then all of our childhood comes into play and all those things. So yeah, it's a big, I think I might even have another call about that, just because it when you understand what is happening in like with the nervous system work, right? When you know what's happening with your nervous system, it's a lifelong journey, by the way. Like when you just start learning about it, it's not like it's going to all click right away. But now, like when we started this call, I'm like, how are you guys feeling? So I'm going to start to ask you, like, how's your nervous system today? Are you in your window of tolerance? Are you feeling safe? Or are you in hypervigilant or hyperarousal? Are you in hypo? Are you up or are you down? Really going back into all of that so you can start to assess and become aware of what's happening in your body and start to create some distance between you and then this thing happening instead of it being instead of identifying with it so much. But okay, so going into the receptivity pillar, we'll go into this. So with the selfish and the control, we'll do a shadow shift at the end of this around whichever one you guys, if you want to go into control, or we can go into selfish, or you guys can do if whatever you think your shadow. This will give you an introduction to what happens in the shadow shift. So then you can your brain knows moving forward. But I want to talk about this in between moments. And this is what, Brandy, this is what I am wanting you to hear. And everybody, when it comes to when we're busy all the time, and not just all the time, like when we're going from one thing to the next, because life is like, this is what requires of me right now. First of all, it's good to remember the steps to alchemize, the alchemy steps, right? The steps to self-healing, which is number one, slow down, learn to regulate your nervous system, or not even regulate, just find out what the fuck it's doing. Just to figure out what's happening in my body. We talked about resistance last week, right? The resistance, that's when we don't feel safe anymore, right? Our routine changes. There are, resistance or anxiety when changes to your routine, resistance to when you get feedback or you get defensiveness is a sign of resistance, so just really studying what resistance is and what's happening is, we are resisting a flow of information. We're resisting the flow of something, right? So the 3 steps to self-healing: one, regulate the nervous system, learn how to feel safe, what people feel safe, what environments feel safe, who do you feel safe talking to, being around, learning how to expand your window of tolerance, which is the amount of stress and bullshit you can take before you just, and you can even think of it as a water bottle. I like this analogy too, that your window of tolerance, so like all of this is trauma that's built up. So when you don't do your soul care work or your somatic work or your mindfulness, meditation, breathing, when you don't do that and you're going from one stressful thing to the next and dealing with difficult people, you build up all this stuff. You can think of this Dr. Pepper of like all the bullshit, right? It's adding up, adding up, adding up, adding up because you're not getting present and you're not seeing how you're feeling, which you just did it today. So good job. Um, and so you have like this much up here. This is your window of tolerance right now. And pretty soon it just fucking overflows because, and then, but the more that we do the somatic work and the meditation, just breathing, whatever, it doesn't have to be a whole lot of stuff, but you're just, or listening to this call, being here present with this as much as present as you can be, if other things are going on. But as you're doing that, you are like, you're getting more open space in that window of tolerance. And so you can think of it like this. And that is the purpose of the soul care work, is to make sure a lot of this doesn't overflow and then you fucking lose your shit, right? Or you go back into all whatever happens, right? You lose all the things that we've worked so hard for. So these in-between moments, they're called in-between moments. Oh, sorry, let me finish the 3 steps. Regulate nervous system. The second is to collect information. You regulate, you go out into the world, you interact with people, you notice how you're responding, what you're not responding to, right? You're collecting information from your life. And then the third is you do the work. You do the work. Then you bring all that information and you do the thought work, you do the shadow work, those are literally the 3 steps all the time. If you ever feel very overly like you're stressed, you're overly anxious, you're just really to your wit's end, those are the 3 steps you have to follow. Okay, have I regulated my nervous system? Have I met my basic needs, right? Sleeping, eating, I've even put in like having sex in there, but if you have a partner, make sure you do that because that is part of a healthy
If
relationship.
you don't have a partner, make sure you do that. If
Yes,
you
make
don't
sure
have
you
a
do
partner,
it
you
with
do that.
yourself. Yeah, do it with
There's
yourself. There we go. Sorry. You don't have to have a partner to do that.
it's so
It
important
is so important.
that
Yes.
your body go through that
Yes.
experience on a regular basis. Your nervous system vitally
Yes.
needs an orgasm on a regular basis, no
And it
matter where it
does.
comes from.
Absolutely. So
We're
now
gonna start real teaching.
we are starting real teaching right now. If that did not catch your attention, I'll say orgasm one more time. But it is so important that if you don't have that, like, because you guys know, I mean, that is a release, right? It is a release. It
Mhm.
is a scientific, like, it's just the way we are created. And it's also a release of stress. It's a release of, all the things. And so, yeah, eating, sleeping, sex. Then there was another one, just taking care of yourself, making sure that your basic needs are met. Like you have a home, you can pay your bills, right? You have all those. This is why at like turning point, if someone is homeless or they're living in their truck or something, like I can't work with them because it's pointless, right? That goes to peer coach or to the therapist, right? And actually in therapy, nothing, if they're not working on them meeting their basic needs, nothing else is gonna stick. If you don't have a home, you can't start going after your dreams, right? If you can't pay your bills, you can't focus on going after what you want. So anyway, just keep that in mind that that's what we need to do. Now, what happens though is people stop there and they just meet their basic needs. And they don't think that, oh, we can go, which Janelle, I think this is a big part of kind of going into why do some people return back to what we talked about last night or yesterday in our session of why do people relapse? Why are they going back into, and it's because they get their basic needs met and then they don't expand themselves even more. They just stop there. They think that is the thing to just keep, whatever. Okay. In between moments are the key to starting to build that pillar of receiving. So when you are, let me read this first. So chaos. So it's really becoming a partner with chaos. So if you're unable to be receptive, then that is what you're doing with the vast creative nature within you. So, how would it feel if you were dancing with a partner who constantly tried to control the dance? So if you're unable to be receptive, then that is what you're doing with the vast creative nature within you. So how would it feel if you sat in an art class and the instructor stood over your shoulder telling you exactly which lines to draw? You would start feeling like a robot. Your spirit would slowly wither and hide, and yet this is what your conscious mind does to your inner voice when it takes control. And here's the bottom line. No matter how hard it tries, your conscious mind can never be completely in control. And the fact is, life is healthier and a lot more exciting when you don't try to control everything, because the full spectrum of your consciousness has a chance to support you. So hijacking all your action with your conscious mind leaves no room for intuition to come through. So for creativity to blossom and for chaos to create art in your life, it leaves no room for the mutual dance between you and all creation. And so any desire that you have to be in control hasn't put you at the end of your rope, about to burn and crash from a lack of rest and an overdose of coffee or drugs. Hopefully, if you have an overabundance of commitments and lack of receptivity in your life, it's only a trend. And hopefully that trend will be easy to pull back from before it becomes a real disaster. And so the solution doesn't involve trying to make time in your schedule for rest, at least not in the way that you might normally think. So to build your pillar of receptivity, there is no need for you to take long walks in nature. This is like different, right? And what we hear. Meditate for 2 hours a day, take naps, or get a nanny. Not that that wouldn't be great, right? Okay, but it would. But it's not necessary. So it's not about having or not having time. It's really a fear of losing control and not being perfect, right? Not living up to expectations and the standards or whatever expectations of yourself that closes the door on your ability to receive. And so the only reason, or the reason you may have this fear of losing control, it's because when your pillar of receptivity is not in place, a part of you really does feel out of control. Like you're constantly trying to keep up. You're constantly trying to do all of these different things. That part of you is constantly chasing an image of what you are supposed to be, but it can never quite seem to attain it. And so you might feel like you're constantly trying to catch up with something and da-da-da. So you do this with the in-between moment. So an in-between moment is when you are sitting at a basketball game, Brandy, and your brain does not have to do anything, like you're sitting, right? You're sitting, you can't go anywhere. You're there, right? You have to be there. So you can choose then what you do, which you chose to get on here and listen, which is amazing. That is like, now I'm sure you have people wanting to talk to you, and I get there's like a lot of stuff happening, but you're working that muscle of you showing your consciousness and your body and your spirit and all of the things like, look, I'm gonna sit here. I'm going to not think of all the other things I need to do. Who does that when you're sitting? Because you have to sit waiting in line. I got to hurry up. I got to go do this. Or if you are, waiting, like, yeah, you're waiting in line at a gas station, or you're waiting in line, or you're waiting for your kid to get done with basketball. And you're like, I could be doing all these other things. That's what I used to think all the time. When I used to take my kid to the zoo, I would still be on my phone thinking about talking to people, thinking about all the other things I could do. I never was present. And this is really what the key to this is presence. Being in this present moment and receiving. And so an example of this, and I wrote about it, was when I was at the dollar store that one time, and it was a super long line, like 15 people. And I was like, I gotta go. But then I was like, wait a minute, I'm gonna enjoy this moment of stillness. And I'm gonna enjoy just standing here and just being, right? In that stillness. Kind of like Janelle, you said you spent some time in stillness, or someone did, of stillness, and you just stop trying to be in all the places all the time. This resistance comes up sometimes with this. Or when you're at the park, when you take your kids to the park. I used to not take my kids to the park because I just had all these things to do. And those are the moments really when you enter a spacious, this timeless, receptive state, um, you tune into a higher genius, okay, and find that creative and out of the box ideas and perspectives are simply handed to you. That is where things come in. Because you know what? I hadn't posted, like, I don't post very much right now because I'm really, for me, my journey of building this pillar, I really am sitting in stillness a lot, but I hadn't posted in like 2 weeks. And every day I'm like, what am I going to post about? I got to post something. And I'm in a program that I pay a lot of money for that teaches me how to write content. And so it was the expectation, like, and all the things, teaching me how to do that. Well, after I had that moment at the dollar store, and that lady gave me $20, literally $20 out of nowhere, because I was just present and still, and I shared that and said, this is what I'm doing. I've had a long day. And she paid for my stuff. So then I came home and I just immediately started writing, and it was just flowing out of me. That is an example of what happens when you live in these in-between moments. Um, so you learn to receive the love and nourishment, you need to courageously follow your inner voice. And then the irony is that you may blame time limitations for holding you back, but in reality, it's not taking a few seconds here and there to be receptive to a timeless source of inspiration within you that causes all the stress, right? It's not all the things you have to do. It's just how you're doing them, and you're not. So yeah, and I'll give you guys, like, what are some of the examples for you guys of those in between moments for you that you have in your life right now?
Driving is
Mhm.
is one that I use, is
Yeah,
driving.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And who was it whose morning routine was stirring their coffee? Was that you, Janelle?
Gina. No, I think it was
Oh,
Gina.
but doing dishes.
Doing dishes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So where it can just be right there doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I guess mine
but
would have to be when I'm sitting doing my diamond painting.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of self-reflecting when I zone everything out,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just creating something, but I'm in between with myself. I do a lot of self-talk when I'm doing that.
Okay.
I think with me, it's music right now. Kind of, I can kind of zone out, or
Mm-hmm.
it's about the only way I can really calm
Mm-hmm.
and be present, right? Is in some music. And it's really tough right now. I'm
So
bouncing.
yeah, when you're going out through your day though, like, so when you go to the doctor, right, where you have to sit in the room, the waiting room, or because I used to be, my life was rushed. I was constantly rushed. It was bad, right? And or like when so like driving's a good one, with the music and you're driving, right? Like that would be music, if that is what always have it in your background. But another, like, standing in line's a big one for me, but doing dishes is also, and it's where those points where you don't know where to put your brain, right? In the beginning. If you don't know what you're like, oh, I don't know what to think about right now. I don't know why, or your brain starts to ruminate. You start to think about everything. If you don't tune in to these in-between moments, or when you're watching your child do a sport, your brain, and if this is where your nervous system is is, if you are in that hyper arousal and you're not in your window, like if you're constantly feeling like you're going, 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 or like, okay, I'm going to be late for something because it was just so hard to slow down. That is a trauma response too. So it's again that like learning how to be present in the moment and just be like just be. And for me, I liked stimulants, right? I like to do speed when I did drugs. So it was like I just wanted to be going all the time. So that was a huge like once I learned that I'm like, oh wow, life actually gets better when I slow down or I'm just present in the moment. Doesn't mean we have to slow down, just like in this, what they're saying in this book. It's not about all the things we have to do. It's not about being busy. It's not about going to take a walk in nature. It's not about any of that. It's about finding the in-between moments between when you are going from one thing to the next and you have that pause in between. And even doing this on purpose, when you start to do this consciously and intentionally of, all right, I have to take my kid here, and then I have to go and do this other thing. I'm going to be okay with just sitting, being still for a minute, or breathing, or whatever, or listening to a, group coaching call, or listening to a podcast. I do that a lot. So when you build this pillar of receptivity, all your relationships and activities fall into place because it is only in co-creation. We're co-creation. We're creating with, the universe. We're creating with other people. We're creating all the time but it's not just us creating it, right? It's co-creation. It's accepting that help. It is the co-creation with our inner voice that we really create the kind of harmony that we're looking for. And so the reactive mind can't do it. We're also coming from our limbic part of our brain when we're in reaction. We're not coming from that prefrontal cortex that is rational and logical. And that's really what we're doing in between moments is reconnecting to that prefrontal cortex and calming our nervous system, getting in the window of tolerance, and then all the shit just starts flooding in. New ideas, we get excited, inspiration, right? But it's that limbic part of our brain in reactive mode that blocks that. So that's the scientific part of it. I know some people like to know the science part of it. Like this isn't just woo-woo. This is actually how the body is built. So you need to learn to take these moments of inspired rest throughout your day, and in those moments, be willing to receive the love and nourishment, right? So and then asking you guys these questions. Do you deserve support even though you are imperfect? When I ask that question, do you deserve support even though you are imperfect? And this is in the book, and you guys can answer if you want, but it's on page 73. So, yeah, Darla.
Yeah, I think I do. I
Mhm.
mean, I've, yeah, I think I deserve support.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think it's just because I try to be supportive, but I also think, yeah, it should be a give and take thing. So,
Even if you don't do things perfectly, right? It's like I
right.
still deserve. And then, okay, yeah. Another question here is there a part of you that feels it's not doing enough?
Always.
Okay. And if so, unconsciously, who is that part of you trying to please or impress? If you don't feel like you're doing enough, who is it actually you're trying to please or impress? And again, I'll write these in I'll make sure that I'll put them in
My
the
own
thing.
expectations, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
My
Okay.
own expectations of myself.
Okay. And so if it is your own expectations, coming back to that of like, how does that feel to kind of just answer that of like, it's my own expectations. Kind of feels like, okay, I'm in control of this because they're my own expectations. And then the third, who do you want to be there for? And it has quotes. Who do you want to be there for in your life that perhaps you don't spend enough time with? And Abby, I don't think she's on here anymore, but she did it. And there's a great example of this when she did her workshop of she wrote down the people she wanted to be there for. Remember? Anybody, Darla went with me, of like, these are who I'm not there for a lot, and I want to take time to be there for them more. Now, if it's your family and there's trauma around there, this is a good, like, I want to be there for them, but they make me feel this way right now. That's okay. Like, it's okay. Then that's what we'll work on, right? In your sessions of like, let's work on you healing from this part of this connection that you really do want to have. And then you start to build that receptivity pillar with them. This is just a like it's not one pillar and then we're have connections with everybody, right? It is in different relationships and those things. So, um to kind of give you guys how what this looks like when you go into an in-between moment. I do want to do this with you guys just to kind of give you an example of how to do this, right? And of course, so you can go ahead and just like close your eyes if you're listening to this right now. If you're in an in-between moment, in this moment, just go ahead and close your eyes and just slip into an in-between moment. So, inviting a sense of timelessness of whatever your current understanding of that might be. Their timelessness can mean different things for other people, for different people. And just taking a breath in, and then just releasing that breath, right? And stretching or moving your body if you need to. And just observing your mind and notice two things. The first is how difficult is it for you to enter this state? And is it difficult at all, or is it not, right? No good, no bad. There's nothing. It doesn't need to be. It can be difficult. That's fine. You're just assessing your ability to slip into these moments. And then number two, so when you try and enter it, what emotions and fears turn up in your mind? Are you anxious because you need to be doing something? Are you feeling resistance? Are you, waiting for a child to come up and tap you on your shoulder? Whatever it is, right? Whatever your experience is in this moment. And now just taking another breath and then opening your eyes whenever you're ready. And then how was that for you guys? Were you able to just get into this moment right now? If anybody wants to share of what came up for them.
My dog.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of went into a place where, I don't know, kind of somewhere it reminded me of my childhood when I was trying to relax and be in that in-between place. And it was being out in the winter and everything is dampened, all the noise is dampened when there's a lot of snow, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're out in the snow and it might be falling. And I could kind of just get that quiet dampened of the noise around me.
Mm-hmm.
It was some traffic going on, right? But it was just dampened and softened. So I was able to get into that. And then you started talking about what's going to bring me out of it. And it was like a clock, tick, 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 tick time. I'm running against, yes, it's pressures of everything and time. It feels like I'm running out of time.
Okay.
And so that
Running out of
kind of,
time. Okay.
yeah.
Writing that down.
And then I just felt this clock or ticking and drawing me out of that dampened place, that softened place. And
Mm-hmm.
it got faster and faster. And then it was, I need to quicken on this part of my life. I need to move faster in this part of my life. And it just
Mm-hmm.
kind of snowballed.
Okay. Thank you for sharing your experience. Okay. So, if you want to stay on here to kind of go through this shadow shift, then you can. If you're not able to, that's fine too. I just really want to share it with you guys so you kind of have an idea of what it is. Um, and yeah, so I know Brandy, you're at that. I know whatever you guys want to do. So I am gonna get started with that. My assumption, since I'm just running you guys through it and I'm not doing any asking of, it could be 30 minutes, right? It'll take about 30 minutes. And Janelle, I know you're going somewhere, but if you're whatever
Yeah,
you want to
Mindy's getting
do,
ready to be here, so I'm gonna sign
okay,
off.
that's fine. That's totally fine. And this is recorded too, so you guys can always come back to it if you would like. Okay?
All right. Catch you guys later.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.
All right, so have a journal beside you or something to write on. And that way you can kind of decide. And I'll go ahead since it is, let me go ahead and if Brandy, if you're chilling on here, you can also kind of write in there if you want, if however, when I ask the questions. So here we go. And this also helps. I like to just, I love this process. And it's something you might, it's probably familiar to other things that you've done. And so this is just to help shift and integrate shadows. So it can be used as just a visualization, which is what we'll be using it as right now. And then, or we can weave it into an emotional embodiment process, right? So when we do this one-on-one, it might go into emotional embodiment, to process to support the nervous system, right? Because that is one of our goals. And just depending on what it is that you need most. And this is really you are doing this process. This is you doing this. I'm guiding you. There is no right or wrong. It takes self-trust. And I believe that you guys have that of just from what I have seen and working with all of you, I think you are prepared for that, right? And so when using this, you want to find just one part, one shadow to work with. It could be like if you feel a charge behind, I'm afraid to be judged for being controlling. Or if you feel a charge behind, I'm afraid to be judged for being incapable. I'm afraid to be judged for being selfish. Or if you have found another shadow that you've noticed has come up, or maybe lazy. Are you afraid to be judged for being lazy? That could be another one. And know that whatever the one is that you think of right now, it could be totally different when we go into it. The shadow parts are parts they don't like or that you don't like or you judge about yourself, that you are too much of something or not enough of something. And so the goal of this process is to help you have a perspective shift of that shadow, okay? That allows you to feel differently. So at the end of this process, just think about how you want to feel. Like you want to feel lighter. Do you want to have more clarity around something? So it could be a judgment on yourself or someone else. A fear of a judgment. I'm scared they will think I'm selfish. I'm scared they'll think I'm controlling. I'm scared they'll think I'm incapable of whatever. So, or it could be, where you compare yourself to somebody else or what you feel about money. Is money bad? Is being greedy bad? Whatever it is. Okay. So what I want you to do is just write on your paper of what has been coming up for you recently. Like, what is it recently that you are So you feel stress. I think I already have an idea for you guys, but whatever for yourself, right? You're taking yourself through this process of what is coming up for you recently and what that shadow is and what has been triggering you. That can also be another one of what has been triggering you. And then also how you would like to feel leaving this session today. Definitely put that on there of how you want to feel. And I'm going to go ahead and start here. Oh. And then just to tell you what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to take you through a visualization to meet this part of yourself. Just trust whatever comes up. There is no right or wrong at all. I want to make sure you guys can hear the music. So we'll do a sound check here. And if at any point that you feel unsafe, you can just speak up. I'll be watching you guys, so you can put your hand up if you start to have a lot of emotion. If anything, if you feel like, okay, I want to come back to my safe space, just put your hand up, and that's what we'll do. Also, when I ask you a question, you just can write it down if you want. You can just go ahead and come out and write it down. Or you can just, in case unless you think you're going to remember everything at the end. And then also, try to keep your eyes closed just so you don't get distracted by the visual stimuli, right? This just helps your process. So do you guys have any questions before we go into this? If not, then we'll get going. Or Darla, did you?
No, I was just going to unmute. I kicked everyone out of the house.
Okay. Yeah, and you can unmute if you want to, Jacob. It's fine if you guys don't have any other. Okay. When you're ready, you guys just go ahead and start to close down your eyes. And starting to just bring your awareness to your breath. And noticing how your breath flows in and out. Noticing the temperature and the rise and the fall of your breath. And bringing your awareness now to the top of your head. And noticing any tension that's there. And sending the breath to meet that tension at the top of your head. And as you exhale, just letting the tension leave through your breath. Now bringing your awareness into your jaw. And if you could, how would you relax your jaw just a little bit more? And next, drawing your awareness into your shoulders. And as you breathe into your shoulders, just pulling them up to your ears. So breathing in, we're pulling our shoulders up to our ears. And then releasing them and just allowing them to melt down all the way down away from your ears. And now bringing your breath and awareness into your heart space. And just taking a moment to feel your heart open as your breath expands into your chest and your breath melts away any tension there. And then sending that beautiful breath all the way down into your root, to the base of your spine. And as you breathe into your base, just noticing the support that's holding you. And on your next exhale, allowing yourself to become heavier and heavier. And letting any tension from your head, your heart, your back, or base just melt into the support that's there holding you. And now just taking a moment to tune into your body and allowing your body to take any changes in posture or movements or deeper breaths that it needs to just fully drop in. And now bringing your awareness to the darkness behind your eyes and seeing yourself in a dark room. And as you turn around, you see that an elevator appears. And you go up, press down, those doors open, and you step in. The doors close behind you, and you start traveling down. 5, allowing your breath to slow to a normal pace. 4, any thoughts drift away. 3, dropping in deeper. And 2, feeling the weight of your body on the chair. And 1, that elevator stops, the door opens, and you step into a beautiful meadow. And as you step into this meadow, I want you to smell the fresh air. Feel the sun kiss your skin with warmth. Listen to the breeze rustle the leaves. Feel the grass beneath your feet. And as you feel your feet, you feel those roots grow down from your feet and into the earth, grounding you to now, and knowing that at any point, you can always return to this safe space. Taking a deep breath. And now as you turn around, I want you to see this, or just notice a pathway is there. And as you start to wander down it, as you come to the end, you find yourself in a clearing. And as you get closer, you realize these are all different parts of you. Some are happy, some are sad, some are angry, they're loving, they're rude, or selfish. And when you're ready, I want you to call out or write down or call out the part, the selfish part, the victim, the controlling part. I want you to let me know when the shadow has revealed itself to you, and you can put your hand up to let me know just the one part of you you want to meet today or have a conversation with. Okay.
The mean part.
Okay. And I want you to see this shadow in any way that you see it. It might not be visually, it could just be the feeling. It could just be the knowing that this part is there. And just feel how it feels in your body. And how is it dressed? You can think of that part of how it's dressed for you. You can think of what age it is. How long has it been there? The look on its face. And just see and accept. You don't need to change anything. And if you can't see it, just going back down into your body of how it feels. The feeling is really where that energy is. Instead of focusing so much on seeing something, just going back down into the emotion of it or into the feeling or any tension. And then we're going to ask this part to come back with us to the meadow, into that safe space, just to let it know that it's not in trouble. You just want to ask some questions to better understand this part of you, this part that has been labeled as bad or shunned away or put in the closet, that has caused embarrassment or self-judgment. And so as you start to wander, as you both start to wander back to the meadow, and when you're back in the meadows, you see a chair, maybe two chairs, as you sit down in one and this part sits down in the other. And before we move into asking this part some questions, I'd like you to just check in and ask if it's okay that we do. And again, just trusting whatever comes up. We're going to go into unpacking this shadow. Asking, what is this part's name? It can be anything. And this is where you can, if you need to come out and write it down, whatever is best for you. And then going into, how old is this part? How old has this part been there? And what job does this part do for you? What is its purpose? What has this part of being mean, what has it done for you? And how does this part do that job? How has this shadow part done that job for you? Has it kept you safe? Has it helped you push people away, to keep people away? And why do you think that it needed to do that? Ask, why did it need to do that? Why does it need to cause you to feel safe? Why does it need to push people away? Just some of really allowing whatever the benefit of this trait for you. And then who taught that part to do that job? Was it a parent? Was it a caregiver? It could have been a friend. It could have been even a generation before you. Now, what job would you like it to do instead? Instead of not serving you or keeping you from people or keeping you safe, what job would you like it to do instead? What would it like to teach you something? And what does this part need from you to feel safe to do that job? Where it's not bad anymore? Does it need support? Does it need patience? Does it need acceptance? Does it need you to spend more time in the in-between moments, the timelessness, the spaciousness? And really just being with this part and having that dialogue with it, getting to know it. And now we're going to go into the lessons of what you think this part has taught you or what it can teach you. Using it as a chance to find the lesson in the light, in the dark, in the bad, than this trait that we thought was bad about yourself. And really knowing how this part has served you so that we don't remain in the shadows. And to really just start to dislodge, I guess, the energy around this part of you. And now we're going to start to integrate back into safety. And I want you to bring your awareness into your body for a moment again. And if any emotion comes up, just going back down into the body. And scan until you find a place that feels the safest. And it may be in your head. Just grounding your energy, seeing those roots coming back into the meadow, coming back into the now. Jake, if you want to unmute yourself so we can kind of go through this. What are you feeling right now?
I guess I'm grateful for this experience. Is that safe? Understand, visualize things as well as I did. I'm very confused as to what my visuals were taking. Question, but also having some real understanding, some generational things that connected.
Would you be okay if now we go back into what we're going to do is kind of put this part into a safe space is the next thing we're going to do. What was the part you were working with?
What do you mean?
What was the part that came up for you? As far like, so for Darla, it was mean, being mean.
Coward.
Coward. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we take that coward part, right, and I'll go back through of, what do you think that coward part of you, what do you think its job has been for you? What has it helped you, or what has it kept you from, or in your life, has it kept you safe in some way? Okay.
And maybe it's kept me tough.
Okay.
It's made me work hard. Maybe still.
Beautiful.
Living with that. It's maybe more turning it, but
Okay. Yeah.
Persevere. It's made me ashamed. Maybe it's made me coward, or maybe.
Why do you think it needed to do that? Why do you think that it needed to keep you from, or to make you more determined? Like, why do you think it needed to do that job? And when did you decide, I guess, that, yeah, go ahead.
Not giving up. Giving up on myself. It's kept me alive. It's kept me safe. Saved my life.
Okay. And who taught you? Who do you think taught that part that it needed to be, or taught that coward part that it needed to keep you safe, or to keep you determined and that was the only way to take action, I guess, or to be determined and stay. Who do you think taught that? Who was it?
My father,
Okay.
his father, uh, his father.
So it's generational. You're right. Yeah.
And it's kind of what I saw, my cowardice or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That part of me was like this man, some type of older generational clothing, work
Mm-hmm.
car, overall.
Mm. So now what job would you like it to do instead? Because if it's not serving you, what would you rather it do?
I felt like we had a conversation that it, like I felt like we just here to an understanding and a peace, really.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it needs to serve me in a different way, but we're on the same scene.
Yeah, I
Mm.
love that. Yes.
Well,
Oh, just take a breath.
that we won't damage each other anymore, but we'll still be hard on each other. We'll still
Mm-hmm.
work together.
So that's the job. So what will that look like?
Consider each other's feelings.
Yeah. So what will that look like for you to do that? What is one action that you can take that can show this part that you accept it and that you're on the same team when
I
it
can meet
starts?
here, maybe.
Hmm?
Maybe I can meet in this place more. With
Okay. Oh, yes. Okay.
Form a connection back together,
Yeah.
not denying each other.
Mm,
So yeah, more regular meeting with each other.
beautiful. Mm. Do you feel complete or time to go in and kind of create this space that you'll go into? That's the next, well, I'll kind of show you how you can return to this part of yourself anytime.
Not be scared of it. Maybe that's why coward came in through.
Mhm.
Meet it without fear more often. Like to do that.
Okay. Darla, do you have any, before we go into the final part here, to kind of, when it comes to mean?
Well, like what was its purpose was protection
Mhm.
and safety,
Mm,
and then the benefits that it could bring it around to is about boundaries and having using that meanness to
yeah.
stand up for myself instead of
Yes.
it having to stand up for me. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
So that's kind of what. But I was kind of confused about this some of it because I thought of that as the shadow, but then when you were talking, it was like I didn't know if that was really the right thing to pick. But
Why
I just
not?
kept
Go ahead. Why
well,
not? What makes you think that? It's okay. You can
Well,
think that.
well, because of the its function, like it wasn't a bad thing. I wasn't mean for being mean. I was,
Mm-hmm.
the meanness was in self-defense. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So just and if that's what, maybe something else will come out underneath that. That's what I meant by sometimes other shadows will come out. Like mean might be the superficial one, right? It's at the surface. And so to go down, you know, underneath, because yeah, of being mean. Do you think that
Oh,
in yeah, go ahead.
okay, so part of it is because I don't necessarily consider myself mean, although I know that I can be perceived. Okay, okay. I can be perceived as being mean, but
Does that bother you, or does that
it's
bother you
something
to be
that I've been
perceived?
called. It's like a name, it's
Mm-hmm.
something that people say that I'm mean, and I don't ever think, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think that. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
they came back in. Shh, okay, be quiet.
It's okay.
It's freezing. So yeah, I mean, so that's why I was like questioning whether that was really that was
Mm-hmm.
really my shadow. Anyway.
Yeah. And we
Okay.
can, and this is why when we do it one-on-one,
Mm-hmm.
I'll work with you to find what that is, right? I mean, mean is, that's fine. That's right. If that is what came to your mind in the beginning, right? That's okay.
Right.
That's what we worked with, right? Because it isn't, I mean, to be called mean sometimes is like, wait, I'm not being mean. This is me standing up for myself, right? So,
Right.
um, we can dig deeper into that, right? We'll dig deeper into, that's a great start. And like, if you want, it's really like Jake was saying, which I think he acts, I don't know where he went, but I need to finish. I'm not done yet. We have to do the last part. It's
Come
okay.
back, Jake.
Come back, come back. Okay, my cat, hold on just a second. So we're gonna finish. So that's fine. So mean, I wrote down mean for you. So we'll
Mm-hmm.
go into that to where, okay, it's a great one to work with for just to
Sure.
familiarize with this process, right? That so mean did play a part. Mean has helped bend the energy for you to stand up for yourself and like in those boundaries, exactly what you said. So, um, you know that now, right? You know that, okay, this is what it's helped me do. This is what, um, and yeah, and then going into like what job would you like for it to do instead? Meaning of, um, instead of it instead of needing to portray or like instead of it needing to be oh, this is how you stand up for yourself, instead it could just be the awareness when you start to notice it coming out, like, okay, it's going to tell me that, all right, there's some boundaries that have been crossed here. And, like, so what it can tell you instead of, and then maybe then we can go into how you could be softening your approach to, if that's something, you know what I mean? Like, instead of it
Yeah.
being
Right.
mean, of it being just an awareness of, okay, my boundaries are being crossed. I need to stand my ground from a place of love, right? Instead
Right.
of fear, or because fear, really.
Yeah. Right. Right. Hi, Stacy. I'm going to mute for a second so I can deal with Elise, but I'm still listening.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and I really need, let me see where Jake went, because I do need him to, we're
Right.
not done.
Okay.
I don't want to leave it open here.
I'll be right.
Okay. God dang it. Where did it go? Hi, Stacy. Um, okay, hold on. Let me go back to Jake. Um, oh, wait a minute. Did he try to get me or come in here?
Fine. It won't let me unmute.
It's okay.
Okay, found it. Never mind.
Okay. Hold on, let me let my cats out. Hold on a second. There. Go. Get out. Go. There you go. Okay. So Stacy, what we're in right now is the demonstration of a shadow shift, which I have done one with you before, which I don't know. Let's see. So I just took them all through. I just took them all through the beginning part of it and just how to kind of unpack a shadow, how to find one, how to unpack it. And now we're going to go into the last part of how to, and we're finding the lesson of one. And then we're going to go back into safety, into creating a space where we can go and meet that part again if we need to. So you can just listen to this part, and I'm going to play some music, and then we're gonna we're gonna close this out. So this is a shadow shift session where we don't have to, it's not always like in meditation. We can come out, we can have this dialogue, we can unpack things even more. And then we go back into this process where we create a space. Oh, here's Jake. Perfect. Yes, thank you. So now, because if we keep it open like this, we really want to close it out so there is completion. Did I let him in? I hope I did. Hold on.
Come back, Jake.
Oh, there he is. Okay. So just go ahead and take a breath here. We're going to go back into closing this session out here. And really just, now you just got to experience of like, this is the dialogue, right? We're just creating the space. So now, Jake, we're going to go back in, we're going to close it out now. Is that okay?
Sorry. Yeah, my phone died.
That's okay. That's fine. Everything's fine. You guys know with me, like there is no wrong things that happen. Okay? Everything is always fine. There is no problem. Okay. If you want to go ahead and regulate a little bit, Jake, and just get grounded, I'll help you with that of just, you guys can close your eyes, and we're gonna go ahead and start to make it a little lighter. I'm just taking a breath, closing your eyes. And if you need to just set the phone down, Jake, you can do that. That's totally fine. And so I just going ahead and going back into the subconscious. I'm just bringing you to bring awareness into your body for a moment. Seeing those roots just ground into the ground, your feet on the ground. You're here. You're in the meadow again. Just visualize or meadow or your safe space. Could be a different area. And just feeling the ground underneath you, the grass, feeling the sun on your skin. Bringing the awareness into your body, and I want you to scan now to find just a space in your body that feels safe, right? Feels expansive, feels comfortable, accepting. Could be your head, could be your throat, could be your heart, your womb. Any of the chakras really is what I like to, which place on our body does it feel, is the energy pointing us to? And so when you've found it, you can place your hand on this space and nod your head whenever you have found it, in which I know, Darla, I can see you, but I'll just trust you guys. Place your hand wherever that's at. And I want you to see a white light in this space. And it starts to circle around and around this space of your body. And as it goes around faster and faster, it starts to expand and a portal opens. And I want you to take this mean part, this coward part of you, and just step into the portal that has been opened up for you. And as you step into this portal and are transported to a place that feels so safe to you, into this part. And it might be a house, a room, the meadow, somewhere in nature, a forest, the beach. And just let this part put in whatever they need for this space to feel really good. And let them know that they can stay here in safety, and you'll be here to listen if they need anything. And just hug the part by wrapping your arms around yourself. And really feel the love that this part has to give you and that you have to give to it. And then let that visual, thanking the part, showing gratitude. And then just allowing that visual to start to drift away with love and appreciation. And now finding yourself back in the meadow. See the elevator. Walk up and get in it. And as you travel up, I'm going to count back from 5 to 1. And on 1, you will open your eyes and find yourself awake and alert. 5, just noticing the sounds around you. 4, feeling the seat beneath you, your clothes on your skin. And 3, just starting to wiggle your fingers and your toes or moving your body. 2, just taking one final deep cleansing breath in and out, and sighing it out or making a noise if you need to, and just opening up that throat chakra. And then 1, when you're ready, just opening your eyes and coming back in to the space. Okay. And we are complete. So now I could just like listen to this music all the time. I just love all of it. And it is a journey with music as well. So if you guys noticed in the beginning, it's slow and kind of emotional, right? And then we go into at the end, it's lighter. We're alchemizing the energy. And it's to show you your power of, oh wow, I can feel this way. And then within myself, I can transform that energy, right? Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It only changes form. So we're never getting rid of it. That's why I won't use the term release a lot, or like, I mean, I'll use the word release. We do release, but like that energy doesn't change. It just changes form. And I think that that's so powerful to know that, oh my gosh, through emotion, through music, through all of that, it's literally we're alchemizing and shifting from one state to another. So,
Transmute.
huh?
I said transmute the
Oh,
energy.
yes,
Like
transmute.
mutate it from this
Mutate
one to
it.
that one.
Absolutely. Transmutation. So, how are you guys feeling now? And yeah, your thoughts on the experience, anything, all the things.
Oh, I'm feeling very at peace. I'm feeling relieved. Feeling
I like
proud of
relieved.
myself.
Yeah.
Really proud that I was able to achieve, because I mean, it was almost panic attack mode. I've been fighting that all morning, but through this, and I was really resistant to get on the call. I was pre-gaming in my head. Why not to? But I've been also going through this morning, I think, some stuff that I didn't know that was preparing me for this work, right? So I'm just realizing all that, and I'm just happy that I knew I needed to be here, and it was the big important day for me to get in touch. And just proud that I did.
Yes.
And I thank you for helping me do that.
You are very welcome.
You feel safe.
Good. That's my job. I want to make sure you guys feel that and know that like, because this is not, and this is also why I think in our session the other day, Jay, I don't ever want to just tell everyone, let's just do this because it is trauma is there. There's trauma, and we're in the freeze response. It is because we have an open loop. There's something that we went through that we weren't able to close off, right? So we have this open loop. So now every time we get triggered, we're back into that energy. So when we do a shadow shift, or when we do this process, and you don't even have to understand it, you might be thinking you're making up everything. Like it is, I used to not, and Darla knows this. I used to be like, I don't know what this is. This is so dumb. Like, what is this? But the way that I learned it in shadow alchemy, and how Caitlin teaches it, and how the science, I needed the science, I think, Darla, is what I needed. I needed to know what is actually happening in the body when, and how to actually do energy work. This is how you do energy work, right? I mean, it really is. Yeah. Anyway, I can't, it's just so transformational.
I think just a big part of me is, I feel so alone in this world, in this life. And you translate that through, you do things to make yourself alone. Right.
Right.
And just accepting that these guides, my relatives, my ancestors, it's a whole other side waiting to communicate. And I intentionally deny that so much. I intentionally put it away. That was this big thing that came through with me, was no more intentional denials to a bigger existence and my company, my people, and to meet that with less fear. And what I was really confused when we first kind of got off the elevator, and I was walking through a path, or in the meadow, but walking through a path, I visualized myself as a woman, as a female, and that really confused me. And it dropped me off. But I think that was just, I was in so much uncomfort, and that was some type of a God, right? Embodying me and bringing that comfort and guiding me into this cowardice.
Oh, wow. There's so much coming up for me right now, too, from our session. And Darla's on here. So Darla is the best person to be in this conversation right now. Because, wow, like, Jake. Okay.
So, but yeah, accepting and understanding that all of these people, male, female, whatever it is, can probably embody me and help
Yes.
and guide and communicate and commune.
But remember what you told me in our session yesterday or Wednesday about what you like are drawn to or what you crave. Like you can share it if you want, but of like, because it's Darla and Stacy, she's not us, but of that desire that you're like, I want this, this support of the same
Yeah,
sex, right?
like a
And
family. Yeah, yeah.
mm-hmm,
Yes. And that's something I don't know. I've been at war with my father. I'm sure he was at war with his father, at war with it, and
mm-hmm,
it's all this thing. And yeah, and I can't connect with men. It's very hard because I have this resentment
right.
underlying that I haven't been able to connect all of this together. And even my feminine and
Mm-hmm.
male energy, whatever,
Masculine.
masculine energy is so at odds with each other, right? And so just accepting that's all in me
Mm-hmm.
is a big thing, and knowing why the masculine treats me how I treats me and I treat it, and the feminine why that is in place is a huge thing to making peace with all of it, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that.
And what really came up, and I don't know, the call ended, and I was able to sit in my phone died.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to sit in it, and this whole conversation, and just something that came to my head was how I don't know, through resentment, through our battles over the years, I have addressed my father as Larry, right? And that's just a thing now, and how I'm going to make it. I'm going to address him as as father or dad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it was kind of a big thing to me that came to me. So.
That's amazing. Yes. Just to know that there's
And by accepting him, that's accepting a whole line of souls and the shit that's there to help me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's there to interact, and I help them through that.
Yeah. And you're working with them, like you said, we're working with my dad died, but I'm still working with him, right? I'm working with Daniel. We're working with that spirit team on the other of even past loved ones that have passed on, but generationally. So that's beautiful.
Just learn to accept the fact that they are there, and
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging it, and trying to connect more often without such fear in it.
Mm-hmm. So that's the takeaway. That's what I want to ask all of you, just the takeaways from today and from that experience to write these all down. This is really documentation, right? Documenting, this is the experience I had. These are the things I'm taking away. And in our subconscious, and why I also, I think I texted you, I was like, we need to finish this out. Let's bring this to a close instead of leaving it open, right? And open for interpretation, but then doing it this way is it's a full experience, bringing it all the way around to completion, and then taking away what came from all that. And so there is power in that. That's really a big important part that I'm going to make sure that I prompt more of, because so Darla, did you have anything what's your takeaway from today?
Oh, well, there was just a couple things I wanted to say first.
Okay.
And a lot of people come from addiction, that's been a part of the path. And I think a lot of it is because there's something wrong with you because of the way you think or the way you express things. And when you're a little kid and you're talking to your ancestors, then you're crazy. There's something wrong with you. There's nobody there, and that's not true. Right. It's not true, right. But we've been conditioned to like hide that and don't, you don't share that you hear these voices or that you know these things. Well, how do you know that? Oh, because my great grandma come and told me, so and so there's that part that I wanted to say to Jacob, but all of us, is that like the things that we hear and we see and we feel and we know are more real than you get credit for. I mean, people that are schizophrenic, are you sure they're not hearing voices? There's just
from their ancestors.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of issues around mental health that there's nothing wrong with your mental health. You can just sense things in different realms of life than other people do, and the balance. I would feel terrible to be a male in this world, because you have zero support from anyone about anything when it comes to your emotional health, and you're not allowed to have any issues around your mental health either, because you're the man and you have to be tough and you have to all this stuff that is the complete opposite of embracing and using your feminine side. So it would be tough to be a man.
It is. I have such obvious interactions, let's say, that people notice that they think are off, right? So I'm outspoken about having issues, right? Being crazy, whatever. However I put it out there, I'm off. I have issues. I have mental illness. Well, however it comes across, it's obvious, I believe, to folks. So I kind of take that on and say, hey, here it is. I deal with this, but yes, you are alone with it. That gives me a little bit of a courage to be outspoken about it. Some people hide it, but you still feel alone as a male with it. Yeah.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is that and that's what I'm saying, Jake, is that there's nothing wrong with your mentality because you think and feel this way. Yeah. Our society has twisted what male and female and
that's why I'm like, this is up Darla's alley. All right, so definitely good. This was definitely divinely led.
It's like you're as strong as the weakest link in the chain, and no matter what kind of bonds we can forge, if it doesn't, we can have this strong sisterhood and we can do anything. Well, we can only do anything that we can within our scope. If there's not a male energy there, then we don't. And a real yes, I have my masculine side, but they don't get to work at the same time. I can't be the feminine part of me and the masculine part of me and get the most benefit out of both. I have it. As a human, you have to have a counterpoint.
We can learn maybe to cooperate with it more easier, I guess. You can't embody it the same, maybe, but you can learn it and adjust with it easier, maybe.
Yeah. But anyway, that was and now, Nick, what was your question to me?
What your takeaway is from today?
Just doing what's in my mind. When it says do this, just do it. Just do it, because it doesn't matter how ridiculous it sounds. All you can do is just put it out there, and if people bite, that's good, and if they don't, well, then you just go to the next. I mean, because me, it's so hard. I have such a hard time thinking on a small scale.
Yes.
I'm a group person. I'm a tribe, clan person, and uh, I mean, you know, it's a good and a bad thing, but because of that, everything seems so uh, intimidating because I do think big. Even if I can start little, it just
Right.
explodes because there's too much connection, there's too much energy for it just to stay what I consider
Contained.
small or selfish, you know, like
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I mean maybe that because it's not, you know, I'm
Yeah.
not I yeah, no. That's it's all meant to be shared.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, anyway, so just to be able to just do what I'm being led to do when I'm led to do it instead of just rumbling it around in my head for, you know, days and
Yeah.
weeks and months on end.
That's beautiful.
So
So how are you? So with that takeaway for both of you, what's an action that you can take after today? Like what is something you can physically do that, which I'm going to give you some homework here of like how to integrate the information that we just, but like this is the integration part. This is the embodiment part, right? You'd have the takeaway. Now, how are you going? You have to go out in the world and do it, do something, right, to integrate that knowledge, to start to become an embodiment of that knowledge that you're taking away. So, um, yeah, what would be one thing, which is in when we're in the shift and you're talking with the part that said, when I asked the question, which I'll tell you guys this because I'm going to be doing this with all of you by yourself, but of like, you know, what do you need? What does it look like for how we're going to help that part feel safe moving forward? So like Jake, you said earlier about you're going to make time to come back to that part, right? And have it just to be on the same team and to show acceptance and compassion for that part of you. So, you know, whatever that would look like for you to do that as far as, you know.
Yeah, I really think it's a lot of some intentional effort to reconnect with my father, right? Try to repair that relationship in some ways, and enjoy with him.
Okay. I think it froze up. Darla, can you see
let
me?
know how I feel about him. And maybe it's not all appreciation, but maybe get real. Just talk with him, have some real talk, get real with him. Gain,
perfect.
You know, reestablish a relationship because there's obviously, if I come to some type of understanding, there's a lot more we can teach each other. And, and that's one of my biggest fears is that losing them. I feel like I'm gonna fall apart when I lose them. Right? I feel that's where my alone feeling comes from. I think it all just comes to this point where I know I need to connect with everything deeper and everything that's around me that I don't consider and have denied. When I was younger, right, like Darla was talking about, and was crazy and suppressed it and deal with those weird feelings of guilt from that. But yeah, it's time to reconnect with all those, and that can start, I think, physically in this world, right, on a daily by connecting with my father again. I think that's going to all the way down the line allow me to connect with these guides and these souls.
And on here it says parts often want more, because I'm going to give you guys just like a homework here, but parts often want more play or love. Ask them how they could integrate that more into their life. And you've talked about you've talked about that of like the play and giving yourself permission to feel good and to, that's really,
it's going to start with my dad, but it's going to be friends, other males, right?
Yes.
Connecting,
Socialization.
Playing soccer. I might play soccer again on a team, something like that, right?
Perfect.
So yeah, for sure.
All right, Darla, what about you?
I just have to make some phone calls and get some, see if I can get a commitment from some people that that I reached out to. So
For what? What do you mean? For what?
well, uh, just one of my big schemes.
Oh, okay. I want to hear about that.
Well, you know what? I intentionally haven't said anything to anybody about it except for the one person. I mean, except for this one person because I'm I'm just like, you know what? Let me just go take it. So instead of saying, oh, this, blah, 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 I'm just like, okay, let me just go slow and see what,
Okay.
like I say, who is actually going to be interested if that's just something that I'm making up,
Yes.
because I've been struggling with some, like, what am I going to do?
Why don't you tell me that? I can coach you through it.
My two my two kids are 18, so it's there's just issues coming up and around all sorts of different things that I have to deal with, with
Right.
my daughter in and out of jail and the kids dad
Okay,
in
well,
and out
we'll
of
talk
jail.
about,
So
yeah. Okay.
but so yeah, it's
So
just
yeah,
this
make
is
those phone calls then, whatever it is
yes,
that just came to your mind.
yes, I will.
And then also we need to have a one-on-one so I can help you through this. Okay. So
Okay.
this basically, so the work we just did together, right? The nervous system work, be very gentle with, don't be around people that piss you off. Or like, be very just mindful of who you're around, mindful of just because you are in this, the nervous system is tender right now. You could, and just kind of show yourself some love today. Do some of that emotional regulation, right? Of whatever that is for you, of going for a walk or, making sure your basic needs are met. Like, I'm really hungry, so I know I need to go eat. And just take care of yourself, right? For the next, and then journal on this experience. More stuff will come up throughout the day. Like, as you're just like, you might experience a flood of just information, or, that's a possibility. And then, you may feel more vulnerable or exhausted the next few days. It's normal. It's called an emotional hangover. Okay. There's actual term for it. And all you need to do is get into nature, ground yourself, eat really nourishing food, drink water. If you have someone safe to speak to, right? That's why we have and then if you need extra support, just let me know. And yeah, and I think that is it. So, next week we will we'll go off of, or yeah, we'll do more. Oh, we'll go into shame and regret. There we go. We're gonna go into shame and regret next Saturday. And I'm gonna also talk about like trauma, the science of it this week in the training. That way you guys can kind of start to yeah, just understand what's happening within yourself when you get triggered, or if you're stuck in a nervous system response to where you are, you can't get out of it, like actually understand what is happening. And yeah, so I think that is it then.
Very good.
Jake, thanks for being here and being
Yes.
vulnerable. I
Oh, yes.
appreciate that very much.
Thank you for holding space
We're
and making me feel safe. And I saw your face when I got on the call and was very comfortable with it. For some reason, not that I'm not ever, but it felt very purposeful today, seeing your face when I got on. So I appreciate
thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
And your input and your wisdom.
Ooh. Well, thanks. Receiving. Thank you.
Example. Thank you. Giving and receiving. It just happened on the call. I mean, come on. That's like
Yeah.
great. Everybody needs to see that.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Nikki.
Yes, you're
Thank
very
you,
welcome.
guys.
All right. Love you
You guys
guys.
have a great one.
Love you.
You too.
Have a great day. I love you
You
guys.
too.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.